When I started middle school, I started talking to this kid in my class. His name was Paul. We had a lot of the same courses together, and we became friends instantly. So years went by, and we were still friends all the way through high school. But there's something you should know about Paul before I go any further. He came from a broken home. His dad walked out on him and his mom when he was a child. But he always blamed himself, which I suppose that's what kids in those kind of situations do. However, he was a blast to hang out with. And even though he would get really depressed easily and buckled very easily to use drugs, we built some sort of connection together. My father died when I was 16, and he was by my side the entire time. There were times after that I would get depressed as well, but everything always worked between us. When I was depressed, he was happy, and vice versa. We were always there to cheer each other up. It was almost a symbiotic relationship of sorts. So senior year came around, and he started talking to a girl that he had been interested in. Early in the school year, there was a party at a mutual friend's house that we're both invited to. Paul got excited that Hannah was going to be there. I decided to go because the host of the party was known for having drugs there, and I didn't want Paul doing anything stupid under my watch. Well, the party was dull, and we decided to leave. He went to a diner, and I had invited him to spend the night at my house. Then, one of my friends came into the diner. She sat down with us, and she didn't really like Paul that much. A half an hour later, two kids from the party came in and tried to talk him into going back to the party. See, I had a really bad feeling about it, but I told Paul to stay because it didn't seem like a good idea. Then my friend yelled and told him to leave. He obliged, and I yelled at my friend and then ran after Paul. But when I got outside, he was gone. I went back to the party, and he was sitting in a chair, and I asked him if he was all right. He said he talked to Hannah, and she would be there about midnight, and he wanted to see her. I told him I would stay, but he told me he was fine, and he would call me later. I asked him if he wanted to come home with me, and he said he would be completely fine. So I reluctantly left. I just wish I would have stayed with him. But I went home and proceeded, and was upset at the whole situation. I fell asleep right away and had a dream that he was in my room and he was telling me that he was in trouble and to wake up and answer the phone. I woke up to the phone ringing, and when I picked it up, it was Paul, and he sounded horrible. He told me that he had taken too much, and he knew he wasn't going to live through the night. What kind of drug? I don't know exactly, but it had to be a hard drug. He said goodbye to me and told me to tell his mother that he was sorry. I was about to tell him that I was on my way back when we disconnected. I called his mother right away and told her the situation. I went to pick her up, and we went to the party. Most of the kids were passed out, and I started to look throughout the house. I searched around and couldn't find him. Then, I went into a bedroom and saw a phone wire running into a closet. When I opened it, he was there with the phone in his hand, and his face was blue. When the paramedics arrived, they told me and his mother that he had been dead for hours. I was overcome with grief, sitting on the floor crying. While my best friend was pronounced dead, I remember the phone call clearly in my head. I got up and walked over to the phone and hit redial and heard 2 beeps. I thought maybe after Paul called me, he went to call his mom, but couldn't, and he died before he could complete the number. The next month, I got my phone bill, and I checked that fateful night, and I saw the incoming phone call at 12:45 a.m. But where a phone number should be, there were all zeros. After speaking with Paul's mom, they estimate his time of death to be between 1 a.m. to 1:50 a.m. Thinking I was nuts, I asked the kid who owned the house if he had the call Paul made on his phone bill, and he showed me no calls were made from that phone that night. It was a secondary line only in that bedroom. It sunk in the dream. In the call, Paul reached out to me, but how? Was it a paranormal experience, or was it just a fluke? I don't know,